I never imagined that a poor girl could change a millionaire CEO's daughter's life. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. I stood in the kitchen, my stomach growling louder than the radio blaring in the corner. The bills were piling up on the table, whispering my worthlessness. They screamed that I was losing my grip. My hands trembled as I flipped the pancake on the stove. The thin smoke curled in the air, bitter and suffocating. It was just another day in my small, shabby apartment, and I felt trapped in a cycle of despair. In that moment, reality hit me. The phone rang. It was my mom, her voice cracking through the line. "Honey, it's not good. I might lose my job." It felt like the ground shifted beneath my feet. I never thought of life as fragile until that moment. My chest tightened, and tears prickled my eyes. I could hear her struggling to stay strong, but it was breaking her. It was then that I knew I had to do something. I had to take risks. I had always been the invisible girl at school. The one who blended in, working part-time jobs to help my family. No one saw me, not like they saw her. The millionaire CEO's daughter. Samantha. She glided through life like she owned the world, with her perfect brown hair cascading down her back and that dazzling smile. Everyone adored her. I couldn't help but feel a twinge of envy, mixed with heartbreak. How could someone so privileged understand the weight of my struggle? I vowed to find out. Fate can be a strange friend. One rainy afternoon, in the library, I found her huddled in the corner, alone. A book lay open on her lap, but her tear-streaked face told a different story. I stepped cautiously forward, my heart pounding. The distance between us felt like an abyss. I thought about my own pain but also felt compelled to reach out. She glanced up, her bright blue eyes widened in disbelief. "What do you want?" she whispered. Her voice was cracked but strong. Before I knew it, words tumbled from my lips. "Are you okay?" I asked, not quite knowing why. She hesitated, then nodded, though the sorrow in her eyes betrayed her. In that moment, an invisible thread connected us, woven from the depths of our struggles. Yet, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was stepping into a world much bigger than my own. Something about her, something in the air, whispered promises of dramatics and twists. As days turned into weeks, we found ourselves unexpectedly drawn together. Through whispered secrets and shared dreams, we learned each other's depths, and my presence began to awaken something within her. But with each passing moment, the gap between our worlds felt wider, like a chasm that threatened to swallow us both whole. I began to wonder, would my life collide with hers in a way I never imagined? And then, just as everything began to shift, the unthinkable happened. I received a call. The faint voice on the line made my blood run cold. "It's about Samantha. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. My heart raced as I dropped the phone. The world around me dulled into a muted backdrop, a void where color and life once thrived. I could hardly process what the voice had said. Something about an accident, something about Samantha. The air in my apartment grew thicker, suffocating, wrapping around me like a vice. I stumbled into the living room, the scattered bills mocking me from the table. What was I supposed to do? A part of me wanted to run to her, to demand answers, but my legs felt heavy as lead. I was just the invisible girl. Why would it matter if I showed up? What if I just made things worse? The uncertainty twisted within me, a knot tightening with every thought. That night, I lay awake, the darkness pressing down on my chest. I replayed our conversations over and over, her laughter echoing in my mind, juxtaposed against her tear-stained face. I fingered the thin bracelet she had given me just days before, a delicate chain with a single, tiny charm shaped like a star. "For when you feel lost," she had said, her voice soft yet full of promise. I had believed her, believed that maybe, just maybe, I could find a way to shine brighter in her world. But now that spark felt dangerously dim, morning light filtered through the dusty window, casting a warm glow across the floor. I had no choice. I needed to know what had happened. I needed to stand for her, if only to prove that I wasn't invisible after all. At the hospital, uncertainty coiled around my heart as I approached the reception desk. My hands were clammy as I asked about Samantha, my voice barely a whisper. "She's in critical condition," the nurse replied, her expression a mix of concern and professionalism, and my breath hitched. Panic bled into my veins. I barely heard the rest of her explanation. I was escorted to a waiting room filled with strangers, all with their own anxieties and hopes. The minutes stretched into hours, a blurred eternity of waiting, and contemplating the gnawing fear that threatened to consume me. I clutched the bracelet tightly in my palm, feeling its cool metal against my skin. Finally, the doctor appeared, and my heart sank as he called for Samantha's family. I held my breath, tears pricking at the edges of my eyes. I felt like an intruder in a world that had never belonged to me, the plush seats, the somber ambience. As I took a step back, the door flung open, and a woman burst through. She was elegant, yet her expression was fractured, a glass vase shattered on the floor. "Samantha." Mrs. Thompson's voice cracked, and I knew before she even spoke that her world was tipping precariously. It was as if the universe had conspired against us, and I stood on the precipice of a dire situation. She locked eyes with me, and recognition flickered. "You're her friend," she stated, her voice a strained whisper. Before I could respond, she rushed toward me, eyes pleading. "You have to help her, please. I need." Her words tangled in the throaty sobs that followed, but the weight of her desperation anchored me. A sense of purpose surged through my veins. Though I wasn't wealthy or privileged, I wasn't powerless. Just then, a small girl approached, holding a worn-out teddy bear. Her eyes were large and fearful as they darted between us. "Is she going to be okay?" she asked, her innocence piercing deeper than any blade. Mrs. Thompson looked at her daughter, the girl who probably couldn't comprehend the chaos surrounding her, and then back to me. "Asha, could you take her for a moment?" Her voice wobbled as she motioned toward the hallway where the sounds of medical machinery hummed ominously. I glanced down at the little girl, feeling an unexpected knot in my own throat. "Sure." With that single word, I knelt down, extending my hand as she took it hesitantly. We wandered through the sterile halls, the weight of the world on my shoulders. "Your sister will be all right," I whispered to the little girl, unsure if I believed my own words. She didn't smile, she only nodded, clutching the teddy bear tighter. As we turned a corner, the unexpected kindness of a nurse halted us. She smiled gently, kneeling to the girl's level. "Want to help me deliver some flowers to the patients?" The little girl lit up, her fears momentarily forgotten. I watched as she skipped away, the weight on my heart slightly lifting. Maybe this was what I could do. Be a source of light, if even for a brief moment. But as I lingered, a heavy shadow of doubt crept back in. What if Samantha didn't wake up? What if I was simply a passerby in a world where tragedy overpowered hope? And then my phone buzzed in my pocket, startling me. I pulled it out, the name on the screen shaking my heart, Zach, CEO Thompson's assistant. Nausea coiled my stomach as I pressed the answer button, uncertainty flooding my mind. "Asha, you need to come to the hospital right now. There is something I need to talk to you about. It's urgent." With Zach's words ringing in my ears, a foreboding chill swept through me, as if I stood at the edge of another precipice. What could be so urgent? And how was I supposed to navigate the shadows that loomed ahead? My heart raced again, contorting in a battle between fear and hope as I looked down the hallway, wondering how deep the rabbit hole would go. Each step toward the urgent summons felt heavier than the last, echoing the uncertainty thundering in my chest. I rushed down the sterile corridor, the scent of antiseptic heavy in the air, mingling with the faint sound of distant machines beeping. The fluorescent lights overhead flickered erratically, casting unsettling shadows that danced around me like ghosts of forgotten dreams. The world spun, and I barely registered the passing nurses and doctors, all moving like clockwork, their focused expressions a stark contrast to the chaos inside me. What could possibly require my immediate presence? The anxiety wormed its way deeper, twisting ominously as I reached the door that bore administration in faded letters. I pushed it open to find Zack standing by the desk, his posture rigid, eyes darting nervously as if he were waiting for bad news. "Asha," he started, the urgency in his voice capturing my attention. "I know this is difficult, but I have information you need to hear." A thick tension hung in the air, stretching taut like a wire ready to snap. "What do you mean?" "Is Samantha?" I stumbled over my words, my pulse quickening. "It's not about her condition. It's about something else," he interrupted, glancing over his shoulder as if wary of being overheard. I need to tell you about her father." The name sent a wave of nausea rolling through me. Her father? What about him? I was at once drawn in, yet terrified of what I might uncover. Zack took a deep breath, collecting himself before continuing. "He has been unreachable since the accident, and frankly, there are discussions happening that you need to be a part of. They're looking at emergency decisions regarding her treatment, and he is not easy to work with. I think you may be the only person who can talk to him." My heart sank at the thought. I was merely a bystander in this wealthy, tangled world. How could I possibly approach the formidable CEO Thompson, a man whose very presence seemed to command authority and fear? "You want me to talk to him?" "But I don't have any standing. I'm just Samantha's friend." Even as I protested, a spark of something unfamiliar ignited within me. Zack stepped closer, lowering his voice. "You mean more to Samantha than some might realize. And right now, she needs an advocate. Not just anyone. She needs you." My gut churned, torn between standing by the side of one of the few people who had ever seen me and the overwhelming terror of stepping into a world that felt alien and intimidating. But how could I sit by and allow hospital suits to dictate Samantha's fate without making my voice heard? "Okay," I said, my own resolve taking me by surprise. "I'll do it." Zack's gaze softened, as if he were silently rooting for me. "Good. He's in a conference room on the second floor. I'll wait outside and help you in if you need." I nodded, summoning what courage I could. As I ascended the stairs, each step felt like a call to arms. My palms were slick against the smooth railing, and I could feel that familiar knot in my stomach twisting tighter with every moment that brought me closer to the confrontation. The door to the conference room was imposing, the wood polished and gleaming, a portal to a world I had never truly belonged to. I paused, taking a deep breath, letting the shaky air fill my lungs. Holding the delicate star charm bracelet tightly in my fist felt like a talisman against the dread swirling within me. Just as I was about to push the door open, a sob escaped the hallway. Startled, I turned to see the little girl from earlier, her teddy bear clutched against her chest with wide, tear-brimmed eyes. "My mommy said Sam's really hurt. Is she going to be okay?" Her voice wavered, as fragile as a whisper carried on the wind. My heart shattered at the innocence of her question. What could I say? For a mere flicker of a moment, I hesitated, unsure. A small tear slipped down her cheek, and instinctively, I knelt to her level, brushing a gentle hand through her hair. "I don't know yet, sweetheart. But we're all here for her," I promised, my voice trembling but steady. The little girl's tiny hand reached out, and she held mine tightly. "Promise you'll help her?" "I promise," I replied, though doubts gnawed at my resolve, but with her unwavering trust nestled in my grasp, a spark of determination ignited. Steeling my resolve once more, I brushed past the girl, pushing the door open to find the heart of the storm. The room was filled with men and women in sharp suits, their expressions decidedly serious, but in the pristine environment, one figure dominated Mr. Thompson, a tempest of authority with fierce eyes that caught mine instantly. I swallowed against the sudden whirlwind of emotions. Asha. His voice cut through the tension as he turned his laser focus on me. What are you doing here? I stepped into the charged atmosphere, grounding myself with the weight of the lives tangled in this moment, my fragile hope and that of the little girl waiting just outside, threading their lives through mine. I'm here to talk about Samantha, I said, my voice echoing louder than I felt. But before I could continue, a loud crash resonated from the hallway, shattering the fragile equilibrium, and suddenly, the door swung open. In walked a nurse, her face pale, eyes wide with urgency. There's been an emergency, she gasped, breathless as the air drew tight around us. Panic painted everyone's faces, and in that moment, I felt the ground shift beneath me. What new calamity lurked at the edge? My heart raced again, gripping tightly onto the fear that had yet to fully let go. Samantha's life flickered like a candle in a tempest, and as chaos erupted around me, I realized I was no longer just a spectator. Here, in the eye of the storm, I had to be the light amid the darkness. Everything hinged on what I would do next. The nurse's voice trembled with urgency, and the intensity of the room catapulted to a new level. I felt the weight of countless eyes on me, measuring my resolve. The nurse's next words, still echoing in my ears, were like a grim clock counting down the moments of hope. There's been a complication with Samantha's treatment, her vitals are fluctuating. We need to move quickly. 1,000 thoughts raced through my mind, but one rose above the rest: I had to act. Gathering the strength from the little girl's belief in me, I forced the words out, resolute yet filled with fear. What can we do? We need to do something. But the questions hung in the air, heavy, almost suffocating. Mr. Thompson's face was a storm drawn tight, and the authority he commanded felt more like a wall separating me from the action, the medical decision simmering just out of reach. Who are you? He snapped, directing a gaze that could scald through steel. You can't just barge in here. I'm here for Samantha, I interrupted, though my voice wobbled. If we don't act now. His expression shifted slightly, perhaps a mix of respect and annoyance flickering across his brow. In that moment, I caught a glimpse of the man behind the veneer, a father, wholly consumed by imminent loss. I saw his hands fist at his sides, shoulders rigid, the way someone might stand on the precipice of a steep fall. He hesitated, and I pressed forward with a strange ferocity I didn't know resided within me. You're the only one who can make decisions for her, and if you're not willing to fight, then what is the point? She deserves better. A hushed silence enveloped the room, and even the nurse faltered, taken aback by my vehemence. Mr. Thompson stood still, though his face was a tempest of emotions: anger, fear, desperation, acceptance. Perhaps, somewhere in there, he recognized the flicker of his daughter's spirit within me, the urgency I felt. Do you think I don't care? He shot back. I've done everything I could to save her, but I can't rush science. My heart clenched with grief as I met his gaze, wanting more than anything to convey my sincerity. We all want to save her. But her humanity is being overshadowed by decisions made around a table. She needs a voice and a heartbeat, someone who loves her for who she is, not just who she is to you. Just then, the tension searching for an escape shattered from the hallway once more. The little girl appeared at the door again, her eyes wide with worry as she glanced at me, and then quickly turned away from the chaos. My heart twisted. She was so innocent, so undeserving of the horrors surrounding us that I stepped toward her, feeling all the fear and anxiety mingle within, but refusing to let them dictate my actions. You okay? I asked, kneeling in front of her. She nodded, though her lips quivered. Will Sam be okay? I think she'll be okay if you're here. The sheer weight of her belief stung like 1,000 blades. That's right. We're going to make sure she fights, just like we are. The little girl's unwavering trust filled me with a warmth that cracked through my own icy doubts. Behind me, I could feel Mr. Thompson's scrutiny, the internal battle that mirrored my own. You can't be here, he muttered, though it felt more like a plea than an order. His voice softened, revealing the exhaustion behind his stern demeanor. My heart shifted, momentarily hesitating as I caught the hint of vulnerability mixed with guilt on his face. He was as afraid of losing Samantha as I was of not being enough. "We can do this together," I offered, instinctively placing my hand on the little girl's shoulder. "If we focus on what matters, Sam, maybe we'll find a way to save her." Mr. Thompson's gaze flickered toward the child, and perhaps for the first time, he really saw her, the sunlight of a childhood disrupted by fear. A burden seemed to shift ever so slightly on his shoulders. "What do you suggest?" My mind raced, grasping at anything that might help generate a solution. "Let us open up the dialogue. Talk to the doctors. If we can find a way to manage her vitals and modify her treatment, we stand a better chance to bring her back." "Fine." His voice was resigned, yet I sensed something flickering in his eyes. A realization. Maybe this poor girl could indeed change the course of our lives. As he waved to the nurse for assistance, I felt a thread of hope weave through us, binding the disparate world of the frightened child outside, the looming presence of her father, and the fragile bonds of friendship I'd developed with Samantha. Suddenly, just as hope seemed tangible again, the doors at the far end of the hallway burst open, a smattering of footsteps cascading into the conference room. Doctors poured in, the ambience swirling with the urgency of the situation, and at its center was a voice I didn't expect to hear amidst the storm. "Mr. Thompson." A woman with sharp features and decisive energy stepped into the room, an urgency radiating from her like heat. "You need to know something important about Samantha's situation." The air thickened with dread. I looked at Mr. Thompson, his once stoic demeanor wavering in the wake of this new arrival. Would we be struck by yet another bombshell? Would all my small gains pull apart at the seams? The doctor turned her glare towards me, and in that instant, I knew that whatever she was about to say might alter everything. My heart hammered against my ribs as I clutched the little girl's hand tighter. "Her father is not the only one who needs to make crucial decisions. There's another matter we must discuss, and you might want to hear this." That's when I realized we were about to dive deeper into the unknown, and what awaited us on the other side was anything but predictable. The room held its collective breath, a tense silence wrapping us in its grip. My heart raced, a wild drum echoing the uncertainty in the air. I could feel the little girl's small fingers tremble as she clung to my hand, her wide eyes reflecting a mixture of hope and fear. Mr. Thompson's face fell from anxious to utterly bewildered, the storm of emotions swirling like an impending tornado. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice just above a whisper, almost as if speaking louder would shatter the fragile hope that had begun to stitch itself together. The doctor, her expression unreadable, took a deep breath. "Samantha's body is responding differently than expected to her treatment. We've discovered." She hesitated, glancing at the two of us before continuing. "There's a rare genetic marker that suggests she may have a condition requiring a tailored approach." Mr. Thompson's fingers curled tightly into fists at his sides, the muscles in his jaw twitching. "Condition? What condition? Just tell me what I need to know." "We believe she may have a rare autosomal condition that could affect her compatibility with the current treatment protocol," the doctor explained, each word landing heavily in the air. "It requires urgency, and we may need to consider a different method. One that requires consent from you as her father and potentially a variety of experts in genetic medicine." I could see the wheels turning in Mr. Thompson's mind. I could almost hear the grinding gears of a man who had prided himself on always having control, finding it slowly slipping away. His daughter, a billionaire's child, was also a little girl battling unseen horrors within. Choices overwhelmed him, and I wished for the world to make some of it easier. "What are you saying in layman's terms?" he demanded, his voice shaky now. "Just tell me how to help Sam." The doctor sighed, a brief pause where emotions danced in her eyes. "If we don't act swiftly to adapt her treatment, she could suffer irreversible damage. She needs a specialized protocol that we don't currently have the resources for here." "Then find them," he snapped, a hint of desperation now lacing his words. "Whatever it takes." I watched him tremble, the weight of being a father evident. It was not just about fighting for Samantha anymore, it was about fighting against everything that hung over us like a dark cloud, the kind that seemed to press down if only to test how much we could bear. I wanted to reach through that barrier separating us, to extend my own belief and courage. "Mr. Thompson," I said softly, "you can't blame yourself for this. You are doing everything you can for her. We will handle this together." In that moment, the little girl squeezed my hand tighter, her trust, her unyielding belief coursing through me. "I want my sister to be okay," she whimpered, her voice so small it broke my heart. Mr. Thompson looked at her, and for the first time, I saw a flicker of something like tenderness in his eyes, the fierce love behind the hardened facade. "I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure she gets what she needs," he said, though the resolve only partially masked the fear in his face. As the tumult of emotions played out, the doctor continued outlining the grim options, but my mind wandered momentarily. The fragile thread connecting the young girls, a friendship blossoming against the backdrop of tragedy, sparked a flicker of hope in a place filled with despair. Still, the fear loomed. The turmoil that Mr. Thompson wrestled with mirrored my own. What if they couldn't find a way? What if the treatment they needed was out of reach? Then, something caught my attention at the doorway, one of the nurses lingering, her eyes cast downward, shoulders sagging under the weight of responsibilities none of us could fathom. But then she took a step forward, a small action that rippled through the chaos. "I've heard there may be funding for cases like Samantha's, but it requires a quick turnaround," she spoke up, her voice steady yet delicate. "I could help you reach out to some contacts. If anyone can pull some strings, it's the director of pediatric care." "Do it," Mr. Thompson commanded, and there was a peculiar urgency threaded into his tone. In his eyes, I saw that familiar flicker of hope ignite once more, a flame that not even despair could fully extinguish, but just as those spirits lifted ever so slightly, the door swung open again, this time revealing an unfamiliar figure. A man in a finely tailored suit, his presence commanding attention with both surprise and caution. "Mr. Thompson," he addressed my companion, "I believe we have a critical conversation to have regarding Samantha's future. It may involve some delicate negotiations that could impact our decisions going forward." "What do you mean?" Mr. Thompson's voice faltered, his eyes narrowing. "I assure you, this is not just a matter of treatment, it is about the legacy of your family and the choices that lie ahead." Heart pounding, I heard the words echo in my mind. Legacy. Choices. My breath caught in my throat as the gravity of the moment bore down on us, all the built-up hopes now teetering on the brink. Would this man extinguish the fragile flame we were just beginning to ignite, or would he be the catalyst for a miracle? I clenched the little girl's hand, bracing myself for what these next moments might unravel, for when the cost of hope comes with unknown strings. The air crackled with tension, and I could feel the weight of the stranger's gaze settling heavily upon us. Mr. Thompson, still clutching the invisible thread of hope, turned sharply to the newcomer. "What do you know about my daughter?" he demanded, voice low and precise, like a hunter cornered by an unexpected predator. The man in the tailored suit stepped forward, exuding an aura of authority that clashed with the raw emotion of the moment. "My name is David Mercer. I represent Mercer Enterprises," he stated, his voice smooth yet trimmed with an edge, "and I've been following your daughter's case closely. The situation presents itself as both unique and precarious." "Unique?" Mr. Thompson's voice rose with incredulity. "Unique is not what my daughter needs right now. I need solutions." "Exactly," Mercer replied, his calm demeanor unflinching. "Which is why I am here. We have the resources to provide the treatment you need, and we can expedite the process," but he paused, weighing his words carefully. "There will be conditions attached, and they will not be easy." "What kind of conditions?" The demand hung between us, ripe with skepticism. "There are always strings attached in these circumstances, Mr. Thompson. Your family's legacy, your connections, and your willingness to engage in a partnership that could enhance both our interests in the long run." Mercer's eyes flicked toward the little girl still clinging to my hand, a spark of determination flickering in his otherwise calculating gaze. That includes potential endorsements and commitments to charities focusing on children's healthcare. Is this a negotiation? Mr. Thompson's voice trembled, his fury morphing into a desperate confusion. Are you suggesting that I barter my daughter's health for business gains? It's more than that, Mercer continued, a veil of urgency cloaking his words. This isn't just about Samantha. It's about setting a precedent, establishing influence, and utilizing your privilege for something greater. You could save her life and catapult your family's legacy into a new realm of philanthropy. The room hung on that last word, the air thickening with the weight of both grief and opportunity. I thought about the little girl beside me, innocent yet so deeply entwined in a fight that felt larger than us all. If it were my sister, I'd do anything to ensure she had a chance at life. But did that mean playing someone else's game? Mr. Thompson stammered, torn between the desire to protect his daughter and the allure of power. Are you trying to play me? Using Samantha as leverage? No, Mercer replied sharply, his composure faltering for a mere moment. I'm trying to help you see the bigger picture. Your daughter might be the key to mobilizing a movement that helps countless others. Though his voice dripped with clarity, an unsettling sensation twisted in my stomach. Hope came at an unthinkable cost, the irony digging deep into the reality we all faced. Could they truly achieve this if it meant sacrificing pieces of themselves? Just then, the little girl squeezed my hand tighter than ever, her small face illuminating with a glint of determination that contradicted the turmoil around us. I want to help, too, she chirped, a bright spark piercing through the somber cloud hanging over the room. Sam, Mr. Thompson started, but she interrupted him, her voice steady despite the situation. If I have to share my story, I'll do it, Daddy. If it helps me get better and helps other kids like me, I want to do that. In the face of potential profit and negotiation, her words hung in the room like a beacon, illuminating hope even in the darkest corners. It was a raw, unfiltered desire fueled by innocence and undeniable twist in the heart of a father, torn between fierce love and primal instinct. Do you hear her? I urged Mr. Thompson gently. She's offering hope, not just for herself but for all those children lost in the shadows. This could mean a brighter future, not just for Samantha, but for so many others who don't have a voice. Mercer shifted slightly, as if caught off guard by the deep-rooted connection that underscored our conversation. He opened his mouth, preparing to steer the situation back toward business, but Mr. Thompson's gaze turned steely. I could sense a resolve blooming within the fraught atmosphere, yet uncertainty loomed like a tempestuous cloud overhead. What's it going to be, then? He finally asked, his voice firm yet riddled with the shadows of fear. Are we willing to risk it all for her? A chill rushed through me as I absorbed the magnitude of the decision before him. As the seconds ticked by, I grappled with what this choice entailed, the unfathomable depths woven between love, sacrifice, and legacy. I couldn't shake the feeling that whatever road we chose would be layered with consequences, reshaping us all, and then, as if the universe itself was conspiring with our unease, Mercer stepped back into the shadows, a calculated smile creeping onto his lips. I'll give you time to think. But know this, opportunity of this nature doesn't wait around. Your choice determines everything. In an inhaled breath as I glanced between Mr. Thompson and the little girl, my heart raced, unsure whether it was hope or fear that enveloped me. The choice about to be made hung over us, heavy with the echoes of past failures, present dilemmas, and the unknown future. Would Mr. Thompson follow the path of desperation, or would he allow the whisper of compassion to guide him into a new dawn? And when the next door opened, revealing whatever lay beyond, would we be ready to face the unexpected? The dim light in the room flickered, momentarily punctuating the heavy silence that had settled like a shroud over us. Mr. Thompson's brow tensed as he regarded both Mercer and his daughter, torn between a gnawing sense of urgency and the suffocating weight of doubt. Each heartbeat echoed the fear that the wrong choice could imprison them in a web of corporate obligation, shackling them to the very dreams they coveted. I need time, he finally murmured, almost to himself. It was a realization, abrupt yet fragile, that this decision would dictate not just Samantha's fate but their entire family's legacy. Mercer nodded with a controlled smile, as if he had anticipated this reaction. Time is a luxury, Mr. Thompson. As I said, this opportunity won't be around forever. He turned, adjusting his cufflinks, the epitome of poise in the storm surrounding us. I'll be in touch. He swept out of the room, leaving a rift of tension lingering in his wake, a void infused with possibility and dread. As the door closed, Samantha unleashed a small yawn, her youthful innocence offering a momentary distraction from the weight of the conversation. She looked up at her father with wide, trusting eyes, the same eyes that would give anything to shine a little brighter amid adversity. "Daddy, can we go home?" she asked sweetly, her voice cutting through the murkiness that hung in the air. Mr. Thompson crouched down to meet her gaze, his eyes brimming with a protective love mixed with an unshakable fear. "Do you want to go home, sweetheart?" Samantha nodded. "But I want to help too, remember?" That simple truth touched a chord deep within the turmoil churning inside me. The weight of the world rested upon her small shoulders, but within her, flickered a flame of hope, the kind that lives within all children, pure and unwavering. Mr. Thompson released a shaky breath, as though recognizing the insurmountable challenge that lay ahead. "We'll talk more about it later," he said. "For now, let us get you home." As they turned toward the exit, I felt compelled to join them. "Do you mind if I walk with you?" I asked, uncertain of my own intentions. Mr. Thompson paused, then nodded, surprising me with the warmth in his acceptance. The corridor was quiet, and as we walked, I contemplated the journey that had brought us here. With every step, I could see Mr. Thompson wrestling with the enormity of his choices, the corporate world looming ominously at his back, while his daughter's trust walked hand in hand with him. "What do you think we should do?" he finally asked, his voice breaking the silence as we reached the parking lot. I began carefully, "you need to weigh not just the benefits for her but also what you're willing to give up. These opportunities can be a double-edged sword." He spared me a sidelong glance, his expression revealing a flicker of gratitude mixed with exhaustion. "It's impossible not to want to take every chance to help her," he admitted, voice thick with conflict. "But what if I lose her in the process?" Samantha stopped to collect a fallen hairclip from the pavement, her small fingers brushing against the gravel with an innocent determination. The sight made my heart ache. It was a harsh reminder of life's fragility. "Maybe you need to remember that she holds power too," I suggested gently. "Her story could inspire others, change lives and help her heal." Mr. Thompson's gaze fixed on his daughter, the mixture of love and anguish evident on his face. "But at what cost?" he asked, almost pleading. "What kind of future am I creating for her if I sacrifice my morals?" "I can't pretend to know the answer," I admitted, walking alongside them, "but you have to ask yourself what kind of legacy you want to leave behind. One forged in steel and profits, or one built on love and kindness?" Samantha turned to us, her eyes shimmering with curiosity. "What's a legacy?" she asked, her voice brightening even as it surrounded the weighty conversation. I knelt beside her, embracing the chance to redirect the conversation towards something lighter. "A legacy is like leaving a beautiful mark on the world for other people to remember you by. Like how you've helped me?" she queried, her wide-eyed innocence piercing my heart. "Yes, just like that," I said softly. "In helping others, you create a ripple effect of hope that can last forever, even if you're not always around to see it." She grinned, the light in her eyes a testament to boundless possibilities. Just then, her laughter struck a harmonious chord against the backdrop of uncertainty, an undeniable spark of life that reminded us all of the innocence worth fighting for. As we reached Mr. Thompson's car, he opened the door for Samantha, but before he climbed in, he stopped, the weight of our conversation settling between us. "Thank you," he said earnestly, "for reminding me of what truly matters." But before I could respond, a sleek, black vehicle slid into the parking lot, cutting through the air with an unnerving presence. The driver, seen only through tinted windows, seemed to be watching us closely, an unsettling aura trailing in its wake. My heart raced as I turned to Mr. Thompson. Who is that? His expression darkened, revealing a sudden layer of concern. I have no idea. Suddenly, the back door of the black vehicle swung open, and a familiar face emerged, one I never expected to see again, and not in a million years would have thought would be linked to this chapter of my life. Long time no see, Mr. Thompson, the stranger called out, their voice smooth as silk, but layered with an ominous undertone. I believe we have some unfinished business. Shock rippled through the air, tightening the already taut strings of our uncertain fates. In that fleeting moment, amidst the whirlwind of emotions, I knew we had crossed a threshold into a deeper entanglement, one that might redefine everything we thought we knew. The air crackled with tension as the figure stepped out of the sleek black car, emerging as if from the shadows of our collective dread. A breeze rustled through the parking lot, carrying the unmistakable scent of impending storm. My mind raced, trying to process the scene unfolding before me, as the stranger's gaze settled on Mr. Thompson with an unsettling familiarity. Samantha, get in the car, Mr. Thompson urged, his voice firm but edged with a tremor. Samantha, clutching the fallen hair clip like a lifeline, looked back at him, her innocent eyes wide with confusion. No, Daddy. Who is he? She protested, her voice rising as the stranger approached, an enigmatic smile playing at the corners of their lips. Stay back, Mr. Thompson commanded, stepping protectively in front of his daughter. My instincts kicked in, and I mirrored his gesture, positioning myself beside them. The stranger held up a hand as if to forestall our fears. Easy, easy. I'm not here to cause trouble, yet. Just thought it was time for a little conversation. Their gaze flicked to me, recognition sparking behind cold eyes. And you must be the one who has been whispering sweet nothings into Mr. Thompson's ear. I swallowed hard, feeling exposed. What do you want? I managed to ask, trying to keep my voice steady. But desire is a funny thing. You see, sometimes what we want isn't what we really need, the stranger mused, their tone dangerously casual. I just think it's time for Mr. Thompson to reassess his priorities. After all, loyalty can be a heavy chain. Mr. Thompson tightened his jaw, his worry seeping through the cracks of his bravado. What are you implying? I'm saying that if you truly want to protect your daughter, you might want to consider the consequences of sticking to your lofty principles in a world that hardly respects them. The strangers stepped closer, their presence intoxicating yet oppressive. I can offer Samantha a future far beyond your wildest dreams if only you're willing to play the game. Samantha was uncomfortably silent, her childhood spark dimming beneath the weight of adult burdens she did not fully understand. My heart clenched at the sight. Her innocence felt like a fragile glass ornament, teetering on the brink of shattering. Stay away from her, Mr. Thompson said, though his voice trembled with a mixture of defiance and unsteady caution. Suit yourself, but I'll be back. The clock is ticking, Mr. Thompson, and time waits for no one, especially not for those who need it the most. With that, the stranger turned smoothly on their heel, retreating back to the sleek vehicle, an ominous promise hanging in the balance. As they slid inside, I felt that overwhelming void of uncertainty stretch to encompass us. Mr. Thompson's eyes were shadowed, reflecting a flicker of doubt alongside the burning determination that had kept him steeled through this ordeal. He turned to Samantha, who was now clutching his hand with the intensity of a lifeline. Let us go home, he said softly, the weight of sadness pulling at the corners of his words. We moved toward the car, but I found myself lingering a moment longer, glancing back at the fleeting spectacle of the black car pulling away, its polished body glistening malevolently under the low sun. Why did I feel as if that encounter had merely been a prelude to an inevitable storm? Once inside the car, the atmosphere shifted. Samantha sat between us, her expression a storm of emotions. Daddy, who was that person? Why were they so scary? Her small voice trembled with concerned Mr. Thompson's fingers tightened around the steering wheel, transforming it into a vessel of his growing anxiety. A ghost from the past, sweetie. A reminder that life can turn in ways we never expect. Will they come back? Samantha asked, her brow knitting in fear. I hope not, he muttered, the sorrow in his voice thick enough to slice through. But if they do, I'll be ready. A heavy silence enveloped us, wrapping us in an unsettling cocoon as the city whizzed by outside. My heart ached to reassure Samantha, to pull her innocence back from the edge of fear, but the truth itched at the back of my mind. What if Mr. Thompson's past was just beginning to claw its way back into their lives? As we reached their home, the heavy air of doubt persisted, the questions of the day swirling like leaves in the wind. I knew this was only the beginning of a complicated thread that wove through our lives, darkening them in ways I wasn't yet prepared to face. Once inside, I took a moment to gather my thoughts in the dim light of their living room. The glow from a lamp illuminated the remnants of a family meal on the table, a stark contrast to the shadows lurking outside. "Are you all right?" I asked Mr. Thompson later that evening, after Samantha had gone to bed, her small frame now a silent guardian of hope. He hesitated, the weariness in his eyes deepening. "I don't know. This changes everything." My heart raced as the implications of his words hit home. "What do you mean?" "I have to protect Samantha, but I also can't ignore the threat that looms." He paused, steeling himself against a wave of emotion. "I may have to consider Mercer's offer more seriously than I ever wanted to." "Mr. Thompson," he interrupted, his voice hoarse. "No. You have to understand this isn't just about me. It's about her future, too. And if that means making hard choices, then so be it." An icy knot of fear twisted inside me, and for the first time, I realized just how much was at stake. I had stepped into a world where hope was a fragile thing, easily shattered under the weight of compromise. But as I watched Mr. Thompson grapple with his choices, I held on to a whisper of faith. If Samantha could shine with hope in the darkness, perhaps together we could navigate through this storm. Yet, in my heart, I knew that no matter the outcome, the future remained uncertain, a reality that hung like an open question mark just waiting to be filled with unforeseen consequences. And then, my phone buzzed, shattering the somber connection we shared. One glance at the screen sent icy terror spilling through my veins. It was a message from an unknown number, but with a chilling confirmation of what I dreaded the most. "You've drawn my attention, and now our paths are bound. Don't make me come looking for you. J." The air thickened with the weight of impending doom, and I realized then this was only the beginning. The next few days melded into a haze of anxiety and unease that weighed heavily on me. Each chirp of my phone sent another surge of dread through my heart, an unyielding reminder that the shadows were growing, encroaching upon our lives. I found myself checking my message every few minutes, a ritual of expectancy tinged with dread. But there was nothing new, just silence and absence more portentous than any words. Samantha continued to smile, blissfully unaware of the storm gusting just beyond her window. Her laughter echoed through the house like a delicate bell, sweet and innocent, yet I couldn't help but feel an overwhelming urge to shield her from the dark whispers circling us. Mr. Thompson, however, wore a mask of forced normalcy, valiantly tucking his fears away but revealing flashes of worry behind his eyes. One evening, as I helped Samantha with her homework at the kitchen table, a gentle evening breeze drifted through the open window, carrying with it the scent of impending rain. The weight of it pressed down on me, wrapping around my chest like a vice. "Miss Claire." Her small voice broke through my ponderings. "Do you think that person will come back?" I looked up, catching the earnestness in her gaze. "I hope not," I said carefully, searching for the right words. "But you know what? We've got each other, and your daddy is very strong. He'll keep you safe." Her response was a small nod, but her eyes remained clouded with concern. It struck me then how often those two worlds collided, the child she was and the adult she was being forced to become. I longed to protect her innocence, to preserve that spark of joy, yet the uncertainty sent a shiver down my spine. "Can we play a game later?" she asked, her spirit unyielding in the face of uncertainty. "Of course. Just let me finish this with you," I promised, heartened by her resilience. Minutes turned into hours, and as I tucked Samantha into bed that night, I felt the heaviness of dread linger. She hugged her stuffed bunny tightly, oblivious to the turmoil brewing outside her door. "Good night, Miss Claire. Please don't let the scary people get me," she whispered, her voice barely above a breath that I swallowed the lump in my throat. "I won't let anything happen to you, I promise," I said, forcing a reassuring smile despite the inner tumult. As I left her room, I glanced back at her serene face, and for a fleeting moment, the world felt tethered in a fragile balance, but all it took was one notification on my phone to unravel that balance. Just as I settled into the comfort of the living room with Mr. Thompson, my phone came alive again, this time buzzing with urgency. "Claire, we need to talk," it read, accompanied by an unknown number. My heart raced at the thought of being drawn deeper into the web of uncertainty that already surrounded us. "Who is it?" Mr. Thompson asked, catching the worry spreading across my features. I don't know. But it's not good," I confessed, my voice strained as I read and reread the message. "They want to meet. Do not respond." "I'll handle it," he said, a fire igniting in his eyes. But as I watched him wrestle with the looming dread of our situation, a perfume of desperation was also laced within his voice. "But what if it's related to them?" I pressed. "What if they come to demand answers, or they will not hurt you, Claire?" "I won't let them," he asserted, his belief in himself almost palpable, and yet I sensed the chinks in his armor as he spoke. "There is something more happening, isn't there?" I probed further, unconsciously tracing my fingers over the edge of the coffee table. "What else do you know?" He hesitated, the shadows carving out deeper lines on his face. "There are things in my past, things I can't divulge." "Not yet. Mr. Thompson, Claire, please. For Samantha's sake, let us focus on keeping her safe." "This is more complex than you can imagine," he interjected, desperation creeping into his voice, cutting short my hope of pulling down the barriers between us. The air thickened with tension as I nodded, feeling a growing rift between us. I wanted to help him, to share the weight he carried, but this unspoken past loomed like a specter between us. Later that night, sleep eluded me. I tossed and turned through a restless night, tangled in worry and haunted by uncertainty. A low rumble of thunder woke me, shaking the house as droplets began to splatter against the window. The storm had arrived, and in that moment of quiet chaos, I realized this was no ordinary tempest. It felt symbolic, an ominous harbinger warning of turbulent waters ahead. As the first flash of lightning illuminated the room, a sudden thought rooted itself in my mind. Tomorrow, I would confront the unknown. I needed to know what lay beneath Mr. Thompson's stoic facade. I needed to understand the past he refused to share if we were to navigate the shadows lurking only moments away. But with each flicker of light and sound of rain, I was reminded of the weight of what lay ahead. I could sense the storm brewing both outside and within as I slipped back into an uneasy sleep, and then, just before dawn, another buzz cut through the stillness of the night. I reached for my phone, my heart racing once more. "Meet me tomorrow at Parker's Park. It's much closer than you think." I gasped, my breath hitching at the realization of the inescapable connection. This wasn't just a meeting, it was a reckoning. Yet, despite the looming danger, a seed of determination sprouted within me. I would muster the strength to confront whatever lay ahead, not just for myself, but for Samantha, for Mr. Thompson, and for the hope we all shared. That as morning's light broke the horizon, I braced myself for the battle that awaited. But one thing remained clear: I would no longer stand on the sidelines and watch as fate wove its shadowy narrative through our lives. The time had come to confront the storm head-on. I stood at the entrance of Parker's Park, my heart thrumming like a warning bell. The grass glimmered with dew, each droplet reflecting the light of a gray sky. A storm was brewing, but I had never felt the need for outside forces to embolden my resolve. Today was about me. About every decision that lay before me. I had come too far to turn back now. The message burned in my pocket like a live wire. I had agreed to meet Jay at the park, anxious yet simmering with determination. An open confrontation awaited, and I had replayed every worst-case scenario in my mind for the past 24 hours. What could possibly drive me to go down this path? A longing for answers. As I stepped onto the path, I noticed how the trees swayed dangerously in the formidable wind, mirroring the unpredictable nature of the situation. Then I saw him. Jay stood against the backdrop of a twisted oak, arms crossed, an enigmatic smirk on his face that felt like a twist of the knife in my gut. "Claire," he said with a sinister welcome, his voice smooth like silk, "I'm glad you could make it." "Let's make this quick," I replied, trying to mask the anxiety clenching at my insides. "What do you want from me?" Jay stepped forward, his piercing gaze locked onto mine. "Information, mostly. About the Thompsons. You've come into their little world, haven't you? It must be quite an adventure." "Adventure?" I scoffed. "It's a nightmare." He chuckled softly, a chilling, mirthful sound that sent a chill down my spine. "Why do you think that is?" "The privilege? The power? You can play the victim, or you can seize opportunity." "Opportunity?" I repeated, my voice growing steadier, fired up by a sudden burst of clarity. "What you consider opportunity is a price too high for someone to pay." His expression darkened, eyes narrowing slightly. "You think you're strong, don't you? Standing there, dismissing what you don't understand, thinking you can fight this game with innocent ideals. But can you? Can you really?" I felt the ground wobble beneath me, as if Jay's words were tangible forces pushing me back. He was right. This wasn't just a game for me, it was about keeping Samantha safe. "What are you proposing?" I asked, curiosity creeping into my voice, unwilling to show weakness. Jay leaned closer, and in that moment, something shifted within him, a glimpse of the man behind the facade. "Help me help you," he said, his voice low. "I can protect Samantha's future, but I need you on my side. We can turn the tables on your good old Mr. Thompson. You could have everything you've ever dreamed of." "What do you mean?" I felt goosebumps race up my arms. "Let's just say, the Thompsons have their secrets. Secrets that can lead to both power and profit. And if you're willing to dig deeper, I can show you how to turn this nightmare into something advantageous, not just for you, but for Samantha." I thought of Mr. Thompson, the love cloaked under his protective exterior, and the lengths he would go to for his daughter. I could feel the invisible thread that wove between us, tying our fates together. "I'm not interested in power or profit," I replied, biting back the fire rising in my chest. "I just want to protect her." Jay laughed, but there was a bitter edge to it. "You naive, poor girl. You're in a world where compromise exists. A world where surviving means being willing to take risks. Then I'll take my chances elsewhere." I turned, ready to walk away, but he grabbed my wrist, his grip unyielding. I looked back, ready to unleash a retort, but then I saw the flicker of genuine concern in his eyes. "Don't you see? You need power to protect the innocent. They can't promise you the future Samantha deserves, Claire. Only I can show you the way." For that brief moment, I wavered, the shadows of doubt creeping in. But I steadied my breath and stared into his eyes fiercely. "I'll never be like you." The temperature dropped, and I felt the past swirl around us, a ghost of battles yet to be fought. "You think you can stand against me alone?" he asked almost warmly, a twisted bond curling between us. "You have no idea how deep the roots of this conflict run." "But I'm willing to find out," I challenged, yanking my arm free as a storm cloud loomed above us, ominously darkening the day. "And if you're here to threaten what I want to protect, then you need to consider your next move carefully." His smirk grew wider, an unsettling sense of camaraderie forming. "Then we can agree to disagree, for now. But know this, Claire, every decision has a consequence, and I'll be waiting." With that, he stepped back, ambient shadows enveloping him as the rain began to patter down on the leaves, a sense of finality lingering in the air. My heart raced, a tempest of emotions swirled inside me, not just fear, but empowerment as I reasserted my intention to fight. I would no longer stand by and let fate dictate my life or Samantha's. I would stand with the Thompsons, unraveling the darkness threatening to engulf us all. the rain picked up as I walked back, droplets mingling with tears on my cheeks. Though uncertainty lingered, I felt the fire inside me ignite anew. As I approached the house, my heart swelled at the thought of Samantha's bright smile, that beacon of hope pulling me forward. And just as I reached the door, it swung wide open. Mr. Thompson stood there, his face weary but determined. "Where were you?" he asked, the worry etched across his features easing as he saw my resolve. "I stood my ground," I replied, stepping inside, letting the warmth and safety embrace me a cocoon defending against the storm. "And I'll keep standing, no matter what comes next." As he pulled me into a hug, I felt an unlikely alliance form a bond against the murky waters threatening to pull us under. In that moment, as I felt his heartbeat sync with my own, all magic and power shifted. This time, we wouldn't let fear dictate our choices, that we would face the storm together. As I withdrew from his embrace, the final words coiled within me, waiting to be unleashed into the world. "Whatever we lose, whatever we gain, let us ensure we do it together. No more secrets." "Agreed," he nodded with newfound clarity. "And I promise, Claire, I will do whatever it takes to protect her." And as the first flash of lightning split the darkened sky, it felt less like an omen of doom, and more like the beginning of something profound, a bond forged through trials, love, and dreams intertwined that we were ready to fight. But more importantly, we knew that no matter what storms we faced, our strength lay in the light of hope that shone through each glimmer of darkness. The journey ahead would forever change us, and as the rain fell, I realized, sometimes a poor girl could indeed change a millionaire CEO's life. Just as a single heartbeat could change the world.